says. It's very casual, very laid back.
So goddamn arrogant about their PCs.
Welcome to another episode of D Freaks and Geeks, the unedited and unfiltered gaming podcast that's more fun than your cord cutting when bungee jumping. Because guess what? You're fucking dead. I am your host, David, aka D Freak.
I'm Pat, aka Bloodbath17.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Spiteful Toast.
If your cord cuts when you're bungee jumping, you're dead, right? Like,
You're dead.
Well, I guess it depends
There
on
have
what
even
you're
been
punching.
people whose cords weren't cut or severed. And, like, the guy who did it was like, oh, whoops, I made the cord too stretchy or too long. And they smashed their head on the
Yeah,
rocks
but, like,
below.
there's a 0% chance of success. Maybe like 0.5 chance of
That's
living.
like a big reason why I will never bungee jump.
Well, I guess it depends on what you're bungee jumping over, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you think?
No, because even if it was water, you're high up enough where it would fucking feel like cement.
Yeah, but you don't think that if you...
50-50. 50-50.
Yeah, but you don't think that if you're... Since you're going down, say like it's snap... Not like you're going down, back up, and then it's... Obviously, it's not going to snap.
Oh,
back up.
imagine it snapped when you're going
That's
back
even
up. And
worse.
Yeah.
Oh,
fuck
that's
that.
more time in the air. You contemplate your
Pure
life
panic.
for longer.
Pure panic.
Pure
Or
panic,
like-
pure
or like you
anxiety.
go up- you
And
go
like
up and,
whoever's
like,
there with you, your biggest daredevil friend is like, oh my god, I brought him here because I thought he needs more excitement in his life. And here he is. I can literally look at his face and see him contemplating his life that's about to end.
Do you ever see those videos? There's videos online of people who are bungee jumping, and like the instructors can see how scared they are, so they'll almost prank them.
Fuck with them.
Yeah.
Oh, I
They'll
love that.
fuck with them, and they'll be like, the guy will be like, they'll like slowly be leaning him back, like getting ready to just drop him, and he'll go. And the guy's like, he's like, wait on. He's like, hold on, like let me get me some time so I can be ready for this. And he's
Yep.
like, okay. And then, like, as he's about to drop him, he like makes it seem like they have like an extra hook.
Like,
The extra
Yeah,
carabiner.
like, oh!
Yeah, they have like an extra hook or an extra carabiner or whatever hooks onto them to the bungee. So he was like about to let him go, and he like looked at him with like this confused face and was like, "Oh wait."
yeah.
And then the guy dropped. Dude, the guy screaming was like he just got dropped to his death. He literally
Yeah, no, it's like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Where it's like,
Yeah.
Dude, the first person to ever do that is such a dick. The first person to be like, yo, he goes to his work buddy. He's like, it'd be really fucking funny. Watch this. I got this motherfucker. It's like, yikes. And now it's just a funny
Not even that.
TikTok.
Imagine being the first person to actually be like, you know what would be really fun? Is if we get like this giant rubber band that we attach to ourselves
yeah.
and we jump off this bridge so we could just go boing, boing.
Fair to say that was a fearless white guy.
Oh, 100%. That's 100%.
White people do the
thing.
stupidest shit.
Yeah.
in
I
that
just saw-
Shooting out of planes.
I just
We're
saw
the dumbest race.
I saw a TikTok where it was like, if it wasn't for white people, all of the crazy shit would never happen because, 100-foot wave? Yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Surf it. Fuck it. Or is there like a 95% chance that if we, God forbid, we fall, we're gonna die? Yeah, dude, but it's 100.
Dude, even those guys on their jet skis, what are you
that
doing?
take them over the
Or
wave.
if they crash, they like go in and get them real quick before the wave. What are you doing? I used to be a lifeguard, and I would be. We had jet skis, and I was one of the drivers of the jet ski, and like I used to like going out in like 3-foot waves, but you get like some 5 or 6 foot waves. Suddenly, all of us are clamming up and don't want to go out there.
I've never ridden
Scary.
jet skis, so
Oh, you're missing out.
I know.
They're
I
fun.
heard they're fun. All right,
They're
Patty.
fun.
I heard you have a little anecdote before. We
I
get
do.
started.
Okay, so last week, my parents and I went to go pick up my grandma. She lives in the same town, probably about 10, 15 minutes away. So we were going to pick her up. We were going out to eat. We pick her up, and it's me, my parents in the front, me and my grandma in the back. And she's, what's going on? What's going on with you lately? So I was like, I'm doing that podcast I told you about with 2 of my friends. She was like, yeah, what is that? And I was like, our topic is gaming. We stay on the topic of gaming, and we do different subjects within it. And she was like, okay, and how do people listen? And I was like, it's apps just the same as,
Music.
music. It's like the iTunes store. You could go in there, download music. You could download podcasts now too, and it's free. And she's like, oh, it's free. I was like, yeah, it's free. We're trying to, make a name for ourselves and get our name out there, and hopefully we can get to do this, for a living. And she's like, you want to do this for a living? And I was like, yeah. And she just goes, why? And I have not been shaken to my core harder in a really long time. Like, if I was less secure in my life, it's over. I'm done. Yeah. I'm a hermit. I'm not going outside. My grandma broke my spirit.
That's a classic grandma conversation. Everything you said, I could be like, that's my grandma.
Dude, she's going to be 90 this year. She doesn't give a fuck.
Wow.
Yeah. Shit. She's speaking her mind more and more lately. And it is a problem.
All right. Well, let's get back to this actual gaming podcast. Yes. Now that we went from bungee jumping to grandmas. So this week we're gonna, do our new battle royale series that we're starting out. We're gonna take 2 emerging topics, brands, characters, yada yada yada, et cetera, and we're going to battle them out against each other as idiots who don't really know that much, and we only know as much as we know. And
the thing that we love, but the one thing that we do love to do the most is argue back and forth with each other. That is our
constantly.
It doesn't matter what the topic is. It doesn't matter who's right or who's wrong. We will argue until the cows come home.
Yeah. So we said, "Hey,
that's
fuck
a song, by the way."
Yeah. What? Argue till the cows go home?
Yeah. Matt just wrote lyrics for a song.
Oh. So this week we're going to do the very controversial. I don't even know if it's controversial, but we're going to do Apex Legends versus Call of Duty Modern Warfare Warzone. So it's going to just be Warzone versus Apex Legends. We're going to stick with, for a Battle Royale series, we're going to stick first with Battle Royales. And the way it's going to work is I'm going to be your moderator. Matt is going to be the Apex Legends guy, and Pat is going to be your Warzone guy. And we're going to go over a few questions, hopefully, get some knowledge out there for the different types of games. And at the end, I'm going to pick a winner. This is all subjective, right? I mean, we're not going to sit here and say that we know fucking everything about these games, but we're going to have a little fun with it. We're going to ask some stupid-ass questions, and we're going to see who's going to win, and we're going to keep a standings at the end of each episode, and that's really it. So I think we're just going to go right into it. To be completely honest, we're not sure how this is going to go,
Nope.
But it's worth a shot. And if you've been listening to us, we really don't care. We're here to have fun. We're here to make content for our listeners. So if y'all like it, we'll keep doing it. If it winds up that it sucks, we'll stop. But we thought it was a good idea. So let's get it rolling. I'm going to start off with a very simple question, and you both can have a chance to answer it. If I am a new player in the Battle Royale space, Matt, let's start with you. Why should I play Apex Legends?
I'm going to be honest. It's a rough question.
Guys, this is the easiest fucking question you're getting.
No. I don't. It's not like a rough question. It's just, I think Apex is a good starter battle royale because it kind of slowly, like, the way it works is you don't have all the characters when it starts, so you only have a very limited amount of characters. And as you play and as you get more familiar with the game, like, you earn points that allow you to unlock new characters, which, new abilities, new play styles. But I think with how they have the training mode once you start out, and you're able to, they give you like a very brief rundown of how the basic of the game works. There's the firing range, which you can go in, try all the guns out, you can try all the characters out, regardless if you have them unlocked actually or not. And I think it's just very new game friendly, and like it's getting more and more in that aspect with like adding new game modes, adding new weapons, switching things up. It's
I'm
just
going to battle back with you right now.
okay.
Don't you think, and tell me why I would be wrong, don't you think that having all of those abilities is a negative towards the new players? Because I'm not sure. Hey, I've never played. I'm not really sure what the hell Pathfinder does versus Wraith, and now that's another thing I need to learn on top of it.
I think yes, it could definitely make things more confusing because there's so many different characters and so many different abilities. But at the same time, it's what kind of adds another layer to the game, like another complex layer to the game that if it's something that you're interested in, you can dive very deep into it and there's a crazy amount of different legends and abilities and how to play them. So it kind of opens up a world of, instead of it just being a first person shooter, it's also, the characters and their abilities, and that kind of affects the play style of the game rather than it just being you're a better shooter. Like you have a better aim than I do. You're probably going to win the fight. Whereas,
You're saying you can supplement sucking at the game by being good at using the
100%. Yeah, because
abilities.
Because there's plenty of defensive characters where if you're not someone who wants to fight like you hear shots in the distance and you're beelining it straight towards them. Like if you want to play more of the zone, you want to play more passive. Like there are characters that are designed for that kind of play style, and you can just sit in a building. You can see where the ring is going to go. You could find an area or a building, and you could set up all your traps and your walls and all this stuff and your fences, and it's going to be very, very hard for a team to push you. But, if you want to be more of an aggressive player, then there's characters that are more suited to that. So it's kind of depends on your play style.
All right, neutral points. 1 for new player friendliness, -1 for camping, and +1 for something else. Okay, so I'm going to switch it over to Pat. And I think Pat, honestly, I'm going to be very non-biased, right? But I think you're kind of up shit's creek on a lot of these questions because Call of Duty seems to be in like a transitional period, and they're trying to change it back to Warzone 1. And we're actually talking about Warzone 2.0, right? That's what we're going to base it off of.
Yeah, the newest.
Yeah. So as a new player, I'm going to change this question a little bit for you because the skill gap for Call of Duty is crazy, right? Right now, it's like everything's super competitive, right? So,
but they also have skill-based matchmaking.
Okay, so go ahead.
So when you first start out, you're a noob. You are rank 0. You have no kills, no deaths. You're going to get into a lobby with other players that are around your skill set. So right off the bat, you're not going to get roasted on your way down by a guy across the map who has a sniper. No one's doing that in those lobbies. These are quote-unquote bot lobbies. They're not bots, but the people playing them, the joke is, are playing like NPCs because they're so
unexperienced.
Inexperienced. Thank you for being HR. So, you have contracts and stuff, and, there are other people you can play as, characters you can play as, but they're not. No one is faster than another. There are no special abilities. Those come into play with your own personal classes. Then you can play a different kind of play style, but just dropping in with 99 or 149 other noobs, you can win the game by just picking up stuff from the ground. Ground loot guns that have like 2 attachments on it. I've done it before. And you could hide in a bush, lay down in a bush, wait for the last circle, and then find the last guy, and maybe you get lucky, you see him crossing a field, he doesn't know where you are, and you just fucking nail him. And
I love how for our new players, it's all about camping. If you're a new player,
the first time I played PUBG, I got a car and like 2 gas cans and just puttered around the map until the very end, and I ran the last guy over.
For the first,
I mean, that's how you start. Noobs start by not getting into open combat,
for the first,
which
like,
is smart.
4 months.
It's
of me
annoying,
playing
and
Apex,
camping is real, but it's real for a reason because it works.
There's a system behind the madness sometimes.
So, Pat, you brought up a good point. 150 players, Matt versus 60 players.
Or you could play Rebirth where there's 52.
But it's
Rebirth is a much smaller map, right? So Apex is
Much
60
smaller.
no matter what you do. Pubs ranked. And I think that player base, and I guess you would say map size, is very important in these type of games because no one hates more than playing a battle royale, fucking looting for 10 minutes, getting killed immediately, and then your game's over and you got to start again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think it plays better as a 60 person or 150 person? Do you think 150 people is too much? Do you think 60 is too little? I mean, we're talking about half or double the amount of players.
Right. Well, honestly, I think it depends on the map. Because if we're talking like Warzone 1, Verdansk, that map was big enough for 150 people.
But again, we're
But
talking about
the map-
Warzone 2.
Right. The map now, Al Mazrah,
Mhm.
it's huge. It's the same size as Verdansk, but there are way less buildings. So how they get around that obstacle is some of the loot boxes you find will recharge in like 60 seconds or something like that. So let's
Now,
say
do you-
100
do you- Go ahead.
let's say
Sorry, guys. The Wi-Fi
Sorry.
went out. Do you think that you run into players too quickly in Warzone? Like if I'm dropping, there's a
Well, it
chance.
depends
to get
on how
into
you drop. Depends
Yeah.
on how you drop. Because
I would
what
agree
you
with
can
that.
do is you could go for a big city, and then 200 meters before you hit the edge of the city, you pull your chute and see where everyone goes. So let's say 5 people go over here to the right, but they're all on the ground. So then you go to the right, but you go to the roof of the tallest building, there's probably a sniper up there. A sniper rifle, not a player. You pick that up, wait for those guys to start shooting each other, you pick off the winner. 2 more guys start fighting, wait for one to kill the other, pick off the winner.
Yeah,
It's about how you play it.
I think they do a good job of. And Matt, I'd like to get your thoughts on this because I don't think Apex does as good of a job. It's like the ground loot in Warzone does a better job of playing itself to the location where you're at. Like if you're on a roof, there's a better chance of being a sniper than. I mean, sometimes you get fucked with like a revolver and you're
Shotgun.
Like, yeah, but a
What
lot
am
of
I
times,
doing with a shotgun on the roof?
yeah. But Apex is very
Random with the
random.
good
Yeah,
shots.
yeah.
Like there could be like there have been times since we're talking about like just ground loot. Like there are times where so the difference between Call of Duty and Apex for the ground loot at least is like if you find a gun in Call of Duty, like you're not going to really find that many. You're not really going to find any attachments for the gun. Like you don't need to. Like how you find the gun is how you're going to get it, unless you have a gun that you can get from like a loadout, or you buy it, or you kill somebody who has different attachments. Whereas in Apex, you pick up a gun and it has no attachments on it, and then on
Always.
the ground, yeah, always, unless there's a gold. So the only difference would be unless there's a gold gun, which is like the rare kind of it, but it comes fully attached with all gold attachments, so it's kind of like the best version of that gun.
Right.
But for the most part, like you pick up a ground gun, everyone's kind of, that's where everyone's on the same playing field, is that like you're not going to land and
First
have
minute.
full attachments. Yeah, like you land, you have to find all of your attachments, and then it just varies based on the rarity. So it goes from
I didn't know
it goes white, blue, purple, and then in the rare chance if there is an attachment for it, gold.
And Pat, and that's also like that. It's like PUBG with the attachments, but you don't have to really. It's the inventory system's a lot different. It's not as crazy as PUBG.
It's kind of the dumbed down version of PUBG.
It seemed crazier to me watching
no,
you.
It's very because
it's all jumbled and all over the place.
It seems like it, but once you actually understand what you're looking at, it's very straightforward. Like I played a couple of games of PUBG when it came out, and I just remember that like you could find like a barrel stabilizer, and that's only good for like X, Y, and Z guns. And if you don't have it, then it's completely it's almost pointless of having. Where in Apex, stay for like a stock for your gun. The only difference is if it's a sniper stock or a regular stock, and then from there,
like SMG, AR,
LMG. So all those normal guns use the same stock. The only difference is the rarity. And then if you have a sniper, that has its own stock completely. And then obviously you got to learn what guns take what attachments, but I think it just adds another layer to everything because, sometimes you land, you find like a decent gun with like a purple mag. You're like, ooh, shit. Ooh. Something's about to go. I might go crazy. And then you probably die. If you're me, you probably die in like 3 seconds. But like sometimes you can get like it gives you the upper hand. Sometimes you can get kind of screwed out of it, but it kind of adds a little diversity to it. And like you're kind of hoping for the best loot, but it's not guaranteed that if I land on a roof, I'm at least gonna get a sniper.
Pat, knowing that, do you think that Warzone 2 does it better where you don't have to focus on attachments at all? Do you think that's a positive or a negative as a player? Not being able to customize your gun, essentially, right? You're able to customize your loadout. I'm going to keep loadout separate from this. I'm talking about just straight up ground loot, not having to worry about...
Not like going into like customize your class and
makes it easier.
Excuse me, Matt. Are you the moderator?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, we have a special referee coming in.
Yeah. No, but do you think do you think that brings a positive aspect where you don't have to worry about looking at Call of Duty, seeing all of the attachments they have, they'd have to really dumb that down. They'd have to, it would be a lot.
You have You have so much more to worry about.
Yeah, is that a positive or do you think that's a negative? Not being able to customize your gun how you want while looting, right? Because at the end of the day,
I think it's a positive. Royale, I mean, this brings up a whole different can of worms. I mean, like, is it you can find like a half grip, so it's like good for accuracy and aim down sight speed. Do you find it like a half grip on the ground and it's like one of the fucking 40 underbarrel attachments you can put on? Because if it's like that, then like you need to memorize all the stats for all these different attachments and what they do. So in that sense, it's definitely a positive. Like if we're not changing Call of Duty anything about the base game, then if you had to put attachments on your guns, that would be fucking hectic.
So it's positive in the atmosphere or environment that you're in.
Yes.
Because as a player, I find that to be the same way. That's kind of a weird conversation. It's kind of like a difficult conversation, if you will, because there are so many attachments to Call of Duty, and it's just like I couldn't even imagine. They'd have to create a whole new system for Warzone.
And they kind of did that with Warzone 1. It was when Vanguard came out. And in that game, online, you could put 10 attachments on a gun. In other words, you could fill every single possible slot on the gun rather than half of the slots on the gun, which it was in all previous games. So in that sense, you had to use Vanguard weapons once that game came out.
Yeah, I agree. And now that we're talking about guns, let's kind of switch it to what happens when you get shot. So when you get shot, each game has their aspect of armor, right? There's plates for Warzone, and there's shields or Evo shields for Apex. I think both do their job, right? But I'd like to hear from you guys each to see, do you think they do it right? Do you think they can improve upon it? What do you think of the overall shield aspect of each of your games? And I guess, Pat, you can go first.
I'll go first for this one. I like the way COD does it because it's, first of all, it goes along with a theme, Call of Duty, of like modern warfare. That's what people use. I mean, they don't stack plates. They would put a level 4, whatever they call it, in their
Kevlar
single vest.
Yeah.
And it literally only protects your fucking heart and vital organs.
It's like a front and back plate, I think.
Yes. But for a video game, yeah, it makes sense and it works well.
Do you think they can improve upon it?
For sure, absolutely.
How?
Well, they just made an improvement with this latest update. I think it was last week. People were getting pissed off. It was mostly streamers were getting pissed off that when you're shooting someone and you break their shield, words would come up on your screen right in above your crosshair that says plates broken or player broken, something like that. That means they're just down to their flesh. And people were getting pissed off because if they thought that they had killed them, but in reality, it's like, no, you just broke their shields.
Yeah,
you got to keep shooting. So they just changed that. They evolve. They evolve with the times, which is another good sign of a good video game. That they they're listening to their community, and they made, I guess
an update. Yeah, an update.
Yeah, they made a little change that makes it better.
Now, being realistic, and Matt, I didn't forget about you, but being realistic and, Apex kind of can get away with what they do because it's not a quote-unquote realistic warfare game. Mm-hmm. Do you think that they kind of fucked up by not saying, if I hit you in the arm or the leg or the head, that really doesn't affect your plates? Or do you think that brings it into like a whole nother like Arma 3 realm where, what was that fucking game?
Like Tarkov.
What's Tom Clancy's? Remember when we were growing up, there was like the
Splinter Cell.
There was one that was like super realistic about war.
Either way.
Yeah, either way. SOCOM. Was it SOCOM?
Oh, dude, I was going to say SOCOM. I thought there was no... That was Tom Clancy?
I think so. I could be wrong, but it was realistic, right? Like, there's a level of realism, right? It's like cartoon shooters.
That was one of the first
Call
games.
of Duty, and
that
then
was one of the first
Tarkov.
Yeah.
That was one of the first games where you could actually have a headset and talk to other players.
Yeah. So, do you think that they screwed the pooch there, or do you think that like, okay, come on, we're still trying to make like a real like a playable game for the masses?
That was to Matt, right?
No, that was to you.
Oh.
I was saying, do you think they should have
Is that how they do it in Apex? Like, if you get shot in the arm, it costs less?
What I'm saying...
I wish they would do that. Yeah. I mean, let's say you're under a truck in COD. You could see under... it's like a dump truck. You could see under it, and you see an enemy under the truck, but you could just see his, the bottom half of his legs and his feet. Yeah, if you shoot his feet, it shouldn't take 3 seconds to kill him.
Because it's not protected.
I think it should take like 10 seconds. Because if you get shot in the leg, like in real life, you're not going to die for like 30, 45 minutes at least.
Even if your foot's blown off. You're not just dying.
Tourniquet.
Yeah, I agree. But what I was saying about Apex
this is a totally separate subject, but I would like to see a game that's like that. Where you get shot in the leg, and then like you have to deal with that now. Like you can't run, you can't sprint anymore. You get shot in the arm, your aim is all fucking fucked up.
that's kind of where I was getting at. Do you think that doing it the way they're doing it is a negative thing? But I think
No,
yeah, because I think it would take
it's
away
as
from
fair
the
as can be.
Yeah. But what I was saying about Apex is Apex uses something called an Evo shield, which Matt's going to talk about it. But it's like imagine you can imagine it more because it's imaginary, right? It's like
recharge it.
And it's cartoon
Those are the
based.
recharge things.
Yeah, the shield batteries.
Well, it just doesn't have to actually make sense as long as it makes sense in the universe.
It makes sense.
Well, as long as it makes sense in the game, it doesn't actually have to make sense in the real world. Like, what is actually happening in the game doesn't have to make sense in the real world, where Call of Duty kind of has to cater to, in a sense, that real world aspect of things. But then they just kind of draw the line on, like, how realistic they want to be. But I personally, after playing a little bit of Warzone and way too much Apex
and winning a game, you're fucking welcome. And actually winning 2 games.
Yeah, and I think we should thank Matt for that. But
because he had like 10 to 14 kills every game.
But then playing Apex, I realized that the thing that I like about Apex better than Warzone when it comes to the shields is how long it takes to get cracked. Or how long it takes to break someone's shield. Because in Apex, everything is depending on a level, again. So the shields are...
What do you mean by that? Depending on a level? Level of what?
Like the level of the rarity. So basically the color of them. So there's white...
Of the gun?
No, of those shield. Of like
the shield matches the gun levels.
The armor. So it's like... So basically like the same concept for the rarity of the attachments is the same thing for the armors. So there's a white, a blue, a purple, and a red. So, and then they
Red's
all have...
the best.
Yeah, and then each level goes up by 25 more damage, depending on what level it is. So like, the white...
That's it?
It's a lot. It's a lot if you really think. It doesn't seem like a lot when it's only 25, but in-game it's actually a lot more than you think. But so like white is only 50, blue is 75, purple is 100, and then red is 125. So if you have a full red armor and full health, you have 220. You have 225 health compared to when you first drop in, you only have a white shield, so you only have 150 health. So you can get an extra 75 shield damage by just going from white to red.
Yeah, but doesn't that make that unfair to the other players? Like, why? How? To me, that doesn't show fairness.
So I agree that yes, it doesn't show fairness, but at the same time, you could kill it. You could. I mean, just depends on the players and who you're versing. Because I mean, you don't know how those guys got it. Like, you don't know if
I still think it's fair.
Like, the thing that makes it. It kind of just rewards the player. I know I'm stumbling over my words. I apologize. But I think it makes it fair for the player, because if you're going to play very aggressively and try to fight people, you kind of get rewarded for it. Because the way the shields work in that game is you could find other ones like in the ground loot or in chests. Like, you can find a purple shield in a chest. But the thing that makes it interesting is that you can level it up. So you could start with the shield that you have, not pick up a shield at all, and then if you do enough damage, you can end with a red shield as long as you do damage. So in a way, it's rewarding the player for actually trying to get into a fight. You don't have to necessarily kill anyone, but you know, if you have a long range gun, but like if you have a long range gun and you see 2 teams fighting and you're just saying, fuck it, I'm just going to sit back and take a couple shots. You know, you do 150 damage, your white shield goes to blue. Like, just like that. You hit that 150 damage mark, it automatically goes up, and the only thing you have to do is pop a cell, heal up your shield, and
the extra space you just got.
Yeah,
I like
and you have it. And
I shouldn't be saying this, but
I was just
but going,
I knew this was going to be an easy win for Apex, but
going back to like,
hey, what the fuck?
It is.
Matt, you remember when our moderator was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna be super unbiased."
I
literally
okay.
already gave you the win. We're not even halfway through the episode.
No. Just for Shield.
But I think the one thing that
I'll be more unbiased.
going back to my original statement, I think the biggest thing that is a difference for me, even if you have just a white shield, is what some people say TTK, or the time to kill in a game.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's huge in the world of Battle Royale.
But it's also not even that. With playing both games, it's massive between even just the two. Because so Apex, like say you land next to somebody, you get a gun and you want to kill him. You would, as long like if you get like an R301, an assault rifle right off the ground, you pretty much have to hit almost every bullet of that clip of that gun with no attachments on it. You have to hit almost every bullet to down that person. Like I think it's like 18 bullets in a standard clip. You have to hit pretty much all 18 shots to down one person. But in Warzone,
of an AR.
But in Warzone, you find a ground loot AR. You can kill.
You can take people down with the pistol you came in with.
but I'm saying, like, you find an AR, like a standard ground loot AR. Depending on the mag size that you happen to get, you can get ones that have like
it's at least
50
30
rounds. But 30 rounds, you can kill at least probably
probably kill 3 people.
So that's the biggest difference for me. Or the other thing is, like, if I just want to cross a street, there is a high likelihood that if there's somebody watching me, I'm gonna die. Like, just crossing the street. Not like I'm fighting them and they know I'm there. Like, I could just be out, just crossing the street looting. All of a sudden, dead. But I think Apex, it's like you kind of have to be more. You have to be more accurate, and also it does kind of come down to just playing kind of smart. Because
so let's talk about TTK, because Pat, in the Call of Duty world, it's all about TTK, right? And
this is a very stark difference between these two games.
Yes, huge.
Now, I'm not going to... God damn it, I'm so bad at being unbiased. What do you think about the TTK in Warzone? Because it's always a hot topic on TikTok.
It's highly competitive. Highly competitive. I specifically sometimes go on TikTok just to see what the top streamers are using. Which gun. Because then you can make a class, you can make a loadout, and then you can go get the 2 best guns in the game currently with the best attachments. And what normally happens
when you use that gun?
You get a lot more kills. So you, in a sense, have to be keeping up with the Kardashians.
I was going to say
with
keeping up
the
with
top
the
streamers.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
You have to be in touch with the
meta
top streamers. Yeah, the meta.
Now, I forget
what that stands for, by the way.
I thought it was just meta.
Yeah,
it stands for something.
I'll look it up.
Is it a bad thing? I mean, for Joe Schmo dad who has 2 kids and a 60-hour work week, no, it's not good. That guy has a 0.4 KD and is just looking to play an FPS and, blow off some steam. Meanwhile, this guy's trying to use a machine pistol as his backup gun.
Hey, that's what I used last time I played.
Why are you doing that?
So I think, just from the conversations that I think it's, again, twofold. I think having a quick TTK gives you the advantage of having more kills, right? Which could be looked up as a positive thing. That's kind of summarizing.
But also on the flip side of the coin, you could also get roasted, and you're in the gulag because one guy shot you for a second and a half, and he hit 40% of his shots with the RPK.
Yeah, that's true. It's
a double-edged. So it's a double-edged sword, which I think counts. That translates to fairness. Which is a point, that's positive.
That's a point for Warzone, motherfucker. But okay, so you brought up another good point. You brought up the gulag, right? So let's talk about TTK. You know, we're all not the Shrouds and the Doctor Disrespects, the Asus of the world, and we die, right? We're not getting fucking 40 kills a game.
Well,
And we're not one-clipping every opponent that we see.
Doc's brand now is anti-Warzone.
Well, yeah, did you see his new... Well, hold on.
He sucks at Warzone, dude.
Tangent, have you seen his new game, Death Drop?
I've heard it's getting very mixed reviews.
Dude, it looks real good.
I heard it's like an NFC game.
Oh, stop it. I'm going to pretend you never said that.
Yeah, edit that out. We can't say unedited anymore.
Yeah.
Dr. Disrespect is my god.
But I'm telling you, the way he created that game, and that's going to be a battle royale, but the way it's done is like on a skyscraper, and the zone goes up, and you have to work your way through it. Dude, it looks good.
It's innovative. That's innovation right there.
Okay,
it shows you why the two-time has been in the game for over 30 years.
Two-time Blockbuster champion, 1993, 1994. 6'8".
I think it's 92, 93.
Is it? Either way, fuck it. Matt, you can't do that on stream.
Cancel.
I think we're not streaming.
Cancel Matt's contract.
I'm shaking up in Arizona, Ken. Stop it. People are doing dirty shit.
We talked about dying. We're not good. You know, if we are good, we're not great, right?
Yeah, I have 10 wins since the update.
Yeah, that's
actually 11
great.
now.
Yeah, compared to
with how little I play it.
Yeah. No. Listen, I'm agreeing, but what I'm saying is, let's look at each game, and when you die, how you can come back to life, right? So let's talk about the pros and the cons of each game for that, because each game does it incredibly different, right? So
I'm about to Hindenburg myself.
No, you're about to actually blow me out of the water. I'm going to be honest.
Go ahead, Matt.
So I'll go first.
It's your turn. It's your turn. Yeah.
So up until the newest season, I'm going to be honest. The system for getting your teammates back after they died was hot garbage, if I could say it nicely. Like I really wasn't the greatest system, and it's getting a little bit better, but it's still not anywhere near where it can be. Because how it used to be was when you die in Apex, all your stuff is in a loot box. So basically, your teammate just has to go up to it.
Well, let me interrupt for 1 second. Both games do it the same, where you get knocked and then died, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk about knocked, because knocked is the same between game to game. I want to talk about full blown dead.
No, that's what I'm talking. I'm just talking about when you. So when you die, everything just goes into a box, and your teammate just has to go up to it, push E on key, or like whatever your button is to open.
You press
anything. Press X, F, whatever your button is, and then you pick up their card. So then now you have their card. But if you don't get it within, I think it's a 90-second period, then the timer's gone. And like I said, so before this update, that was it. Like if your teammate didn't get your card,
you just can't come back. Your game's over.
There's no gulag. There's no second chance.
And then if you're in ranked, you can't quit.
Yeah, so that's the downside, was that if you're in a ranked game and your teammates can't get your banner, or they just choose not to be assholes, then you're just sitting there watching a game for the next 10 minutes, hoping that maybe they do
if
good.
You're lucky 10 minutes.
So
Apex very much turns into Twitch if you die.
Yeah, you're just sitting. You're just sitting on your phone waiting for them to die so you can queue up for the next game. But now with this new update, they've added a bunch, which I'm not going to go into. But basically, they took the support characters, and they have these things in the game that are called replicators that you can craft certain things out of: heals, more ammo, whatever they have. Those characters can craft that card back. So like, you guys happen to get jumped by a team, 2 of you guys die, and your support character gets away. They can go to one of those crafting things, craft both your banners back.
Only the support character. So if I'm a wraith, you're still fucked.
You're still fucked.
That's cool.
So it's only, but like
that's a cool evolution.
So that's what I mean by it went from if you didn't get it right then and there in those 90 seconds, you were fucked. Compared to now, if you happen to be playing those support characters and you have the crafting material to do it, you have the option to be able to actually get them back in some aspect. But again, no, not 100% guarantee, because you got to find a respawn. You got to find a respawn beacon. Hope you didn't get pushed.
Hope you're a support character.
Yeah, hope that you're a support character. Hope that you're the one who survives out of the fight and not any other character that can't do it. So it's, like I said, it's a little bit better than what it was, but before, hot garbage, because if you were just in a bad spot when you died, you're just sitting there watching your teammates play while you sit there and just watch.
That was a really interesting way to shoot yourself in the foot in this debate.
Look, man, I'm telling you, I told you this was not going to be good for me. This was the one topic I think
all right, you know what? Out of fairness, I'll shoot myself in the foot too. And this is a personal opinion. This is not the opinion of D Freaks and Geeks as a company, but this is my opinion.
LLC.
As an LLC, self-revive in any game is stupid as fuck.
I agree.
That is so dumb and cheap. It should have never been added to Call of Duty. It changes... It allows gods of the game, and that's a colloquial term. There are no gods in Call of Duty, but if you have a god ability, if you're... All right. All right, next debate topic, God versus no God. No, if you have godlike abilities in that game and you find 4 self-reses, which is a whole other topic, should be self-rev. If you find 4 self-revives, you don't need plates. All you need is a good sniper and a good sniper's nest. And you can survive the whole game. And then, the circle changes. You can go to the next spot, find a good tower, and do the same thing. But in terms of, let's take self-revive out of it. Buying your friends back, it's easy to find enough money to do it. It's only $4,000. If there's a fire sale, it's free. Fire sales happen twice a game. But the hard part comes when you have to find a buy station near you. You have to gain the means to get there, either by running or by getting in a car, which brings a whole other set of challenges. And you have to hope no one's camping the buy station, which is another big problem in Call of Duty.
That's not the only ways you can come back, though.
Well, the Gulag.
Right. But then you have Gulag, and it all depends on skill in Gulag. I don't know. What I like about Call of Duty is the knowledge. It's up-to-date knowledge that you need in order to excel. I will say excel. Not succeed, but excel in that game. Because the Gulag map is very small. Very, very... It's the smallest multiplayer map.
It's like a ever. 1v1, 2v2 style map.
Smallest tiny map known to man.
If it was a multiplayer map in Call of Duty, tomorrow, the next day, people would be like, this is fucking ridiculously small. All right? So you're picturing it. And there are these little spots where you can go where, you can jump up on this box and then you can crouch and you can still shoot your enemy and he only sees 15% of your body. So he has a very small margin for error, whereas you have a big margin for error. So you learn that, you go into Gulag, you go to your glitch spot, and you have a pretty good chance of surviving. So if you have the knowledge, you have the know-how, you have semi-decent aim, you can come back on your own. It's free. Your teammates don't have to buy you. Or take the risk of going to a buy station to buy you back.
To be honest, I never even thought of that. like a head glitch like that, how that can kind of ruin
It exists
Gulag.
in the Gulag right now. That's the only reason why I brought it up.
It kind of ruins the Gulag. Because whoever's first that spot wins, generally.
Well, no, because those glitch spots exist on both sides.
Oh, okay.
So
It's
really
not a
just-
glitch spot. It's an advantageous spot.
I think it's called head glitch, Matt, right? That's like the... Yeah.
Yes.
So, I also like... Well, and I want to know your opinion on this, Pat, because as the Warzone guy, how do you feel about Resurgence?
I think it's a really good idea for battle royales that have a small map version. So literally just PUBG and Call of Duty who have small battle royale maps. But it's a really good idea because there are enough players to populate the map to where Resurgence is like, it adds a whole other layer of strategy to the way you play the game. So you can drop into the hotspot. So right now the Resurgence map, can't think of the name right now. Ashika Island.
Yeah.
So the hottest drop on Ashika Island right now is Castle. It's got the most loot. It's center map. You're probably going to be in the zone no matter which lobby you're dropping into. But 5 other teams have the same idea. So let's say you're playing trios. You're competing with 15 other people. But you need to factor that in. You need to play with, a couple other guys who aren't going to be Leroy Jenkins and just go for the kills. Like if two of the guys die, the third guy has to either hide, stay quiet, or leave.
But it gives you another chance to come back.
It's a cool... it's not like you come back and you have all your guns again. You come back with a pistol, or if it's a later stage in the game, you come back with like a shitty ground loot gun.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can come back with an AR, but it has no attachments. So if you try and fight someone who's 100 meters away, you're giving yourself up.
So let's wrap it up with two separate, distinct things, right?
Hold on,
first,
before we do that, I'm going to bring up a hot topic because this is one of my pet peeves when it comes to Warzone. Well, I'm going to what my pet peeve is the thing. Well, you brought it up a little bit actually before, Pat, is how you said you have to go to TikTok or you have to watch popular streamers to see their guns, to see what gun and
you don't have to.
Using. But
you don't have to.
But what I mean is the fact that if a new gun comes out and there's 40 levels to the gun, and you need to fully max it out for you to get the good attachments for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one thing that I've never liked about Warzone is the fact that if a new gun drops, you have to grind out all these levels just to be able to actually get the gun to like a good state. It's not just like the gun is good itself and the attachments just make it better. It's like you have to get the gun, grind out all these levels, get all these guns and all these different levels to get these attachments, and just to be able to play Warzone.
You could play it smart though. Like you could find it. You could still find the new gun on the ground. Pick it up and then do 3 or 4 contracts. Next thing you know, you're halfway through the levels just through one game.
Oh, contract.
And then if you have a double XP token, you pop that, and your next Warzone game is I'm gonna find the torrent. That's the second half of the name of the new gun.
What's the
new
first
DMR? Tempest Torrent. That's what it's called. God damn.
That's a pretty dope name for a gun.
Yeah,
I know. But you find it on the ground. You have that double XP token going. You go to a spot where no one else is going to go. It's way out of the zone. You find like 2 or 3 gas masks. Don't look for any plates. And let's say you find the gun way outside the zone. You do like 3 or 4 contracts with that gun with the XP token. Takes you 1 game to level it up all the way. Then you can make your own custom class. And you drop in the next game and you're fucking tearing it up.
Yeah, that's it. Drop the like, Pat.
See, clearly
get the fuck out of there.
That clearly shows my knowledge of Warzone because I didn't know
your ineptitude.
Yeah, I didn't know. Well, because I didn't know that XP went towards your guns. I thought that was just be like your.
No, they have double XP tokens and they also have double weapon XP tokens, and anyone has access to this through the free version of the game.
Well, I just didn't know. Where I got confused was that I didn't know that. Like if you're doing contracts and all that stuff in game, that also goes towards.
If you have the gun equipped, like let's say you pick up a bounty, but you're not trying to go after the guy, you should keep the gun out that you're trying to level up because once someone kills that guy, you get the weapon XP toward the gun you're carrying.
Yep. See, I had no idea about that. Damn.
All right.
So there are, but this also require, this isn't a base level knowledge about the game.
Yeah.
This is like, I know this because I pay attention to what the top Warzone players are doing.
This is what I love about debates.
And you have to wade through all the fake shit because I can't tell you how many TikToks I've seen of people saying, hey, if there's a gun you want to use but you don't have it unlocked or you don't have friends to play the game so you can unlock it, what you can do is go into ranked and make a class with the gun and then save it and then go over to Warzone and you can edit it and play with... No, you can't. That's not real. These are just old man gripes about TikTok.
This is what I love about debates, though, because Matt was like holding on to that. He's like, you know what?
I got
a fucking kill shot.
Bomb.
I got a kill shot.
I had a banger. I thought I had a banger of a topic because for someone like me who like doesn't have the multiplayer, who doesn't like can't just like hop into TDM, just go get a bunch of kills, bunch of levels.
I have no idea what you were talking about for a hot second. It took me a while to.
I was thinking, like, damn, dude, like if I have to get all of this weapon
Team
XP,
Dynamite,
yeah. If I had to get all this XP just by killing players in Warzone, it's gonna take me forever just to like fully level up one gun. But clearly, wrong.
So let's do this. Let's wrap it up with 2 separate topics. Now, this is just going to be one topic, but I want to talk about. When talking about a battle royale, what I'm noticing more and more and more is it is about the maps, right? The maps are a vitally important part of a battle royale game, and both games have a multitude of maps. Pat, I'm actually going to allow you to go back to Warzone 1 on this one because Warzone 2 is too new to really talk about maps because there's only one so far. But okay, there's 2. But still, I'll let you go back to Warzone 1 with this. But with maps, it's twofold, right? There is the development of the map, there is the movability of the map, and then there's the movement of your characters that gets around the map. So I want to know which game does it better? Which game has better maps with movement, and what game kind of lacks there?
Wait, real quick, just to recap. So is this like a 2-part question? Is this a map and a character movement thing? Yeah,
because I think that movement has to come into play with the map building. The way that your character moves has to correlate with the map.
So are you talking about like how your character is able to get from point A, from like one corner of the map to the other corner of the map?
Yes, and with how the map is, right? Okay. How the map is built, how does that movement play positively or negatively to the game?
Gotcha.
Does that make sense to both of you, or do I have to give you
I get
yell high five?
I have a tentative grasp on what the question is asking.
Okay, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so
ELI 5.
You have a map, right? There's a map. You know what a map is? So a map is where you play.
Like Dora the Explorer. I'm a map.
No, so you have your map, and the map design is one thing, right? So the map design. Do you like the design of the maps? But the second part of it is the movement of your characters in the game has to get around that map fluidly, right? Because the movement has to play hand in hand with the map. So how does your games, one, make movement compatible with the map, and how do you like the map design?
All right,
Pat, you go first.
Well, no, I go first.
No, Matt,
you're
you
a
went first last
motherfucker.
time.
Oh, I did.
I'm the drunk one here. This guy seems like he's wasted off 5 Jaeger bombs over here. So
Jaeger bombs. What are we, 12?
12. Gee, you were doing Jaeger bombs at 12. That's like a St. Patrick's Day on your 23rd birthday. Jesus. So first of all, I don't think it's fair to open up to Warzone 1.
Okay, then don't.
That's not. I win that argument every day of the week.
Okay, then open it up to Warzone 1.
No, open with Warzone 1. No, you have that much confidence in it. Open with it.
Okay, so first of all, all right, let's get specific. Verdansk, Caldera, and Rebirth Island were the 3 maps from Warzone 1. Caldera was my favorite, which, if we had any fans at all, I would get a lot of shit for that, for saying that.
Is that
People Verdansk is god to Warzone players.
Was that the one that had the stadium that got bombed and all that? Was that like the original map? Okay.
Yes, it got opened up in one of their updates. So in Verdansk, it's a huge, sprawling map. There are hot spots, but there are also, little spots where you can go where you might run into another team, or if you're playing solo, you might run into a couple other guys. But with the movement, there were enough buildings in Verdansk where you could have, with the short time to kill, with the short TTK, you could move from building to building and find enough plates to survive until you can find a car or a helicopter. Now, the big movement difference, there are a lot of big movement differences between Warzone 2 and Warzone 1. Warzone 1, you move faster. There were little glitches you could do. There are also little glitches you can do in Warzone 2 that essentially make you unkillable if you know how to do it.
Is Warzone 2 like the snake? That's that new one that they're doing, right? The crouch stand.
Or the G-Walk.
G-Walk, yeah.
There's also the G-Walk. There's also... I don't know if you know this, but there's a new thing that Shotzi discovered with coming out of the water. So he figured out this glitch where you could come from under the water and essentially do like those UFC fighters do and jump out of the water onto the ledge of the pool. You could essentially do that and start shooting before you even land.
Oh my god!
So that's a movement glitch. So there's a funny video of, I think his name's Shotzi, right? The guy with
Optic. Yeah,
the guy with the mole. Yeah. Shotzi figured it out, and he was
incredible, dude. He's incredible,
incredibly good at the game. Dude, I just picture myself in a game against him. Gee, I would break all of my technology. But he was trying to show Tim the Tat Man how to do it, and Tim couldn't fucking figure it out. It was fucking hilarious. But in this game, what I like is in Warzone 2 in Al Mazrah, the new giant 150-person Battle Royale map, you move slower than Warzone 1, so it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to move building to building. What you really need to keep in mind is how much of your body is showing when you're moving. So let's say someone shoots you a couple times with an AR. Maybe they get close to breaking one of your 3 plates. What you should do is just get the fuck, wait until you try and taunt them into shooting their entire clip. Then you move. And you plate up on your way out of there. Whereas in the first one, like in Verdansk, you could go to a city and you can survive for like half the game in there because you could just keep moving building to building. Like you didn't have to worry about what part of your body your opponent can see.
So you
Because
think
it
they made
wasn't
movement
as
vitally important?
that and more difficult.
Which you think is a positive?
I think it's a positive.
Okay. Why?
It also kind of incentivizes camping a little more, which I don't like. Because you could try and find a bird's eye view of, not a bird's eye, but a sniper's nest. And you can just kind of watch a city and see what's going on. You could hear the gunshots. You can see that two teams are fighting. And you can see who's losing. And you can kind of help out the winning team a little bit.
So you're saying it's more of a vantage point than anything? Like
and setting up and understanding where people are going to be coming from. You know, you pop a UAV early in the game and you can see where people are and who's dying to what gun. And you can kind of base your strategy around that. I feel like the past 5 minutes of what I've been saying has been nonsensical and meandering.
What do you think about the map designs in general?
I think all of their large maps, they hit the nail on the fucking head.
Yeah.
They're all three very different styles. Verdansk is like a built up, militarily driven city in Russia. That's what I think of Verdansk as. Caldera was like rural Japan. That's it. Rural Japan. And then Al-Mazr is Middle East, you know, like a large area in the Middle East. And then the Rebirth maps, Rebirth Island from Warzone 1 is Alcatraz. And,
I never realized that.
And the Ashika Island is rural Japan. Again.
Okay, Matt.
So Apex has now 4 maps. Has Kings Canyon, World's Edge, Broken Moon, and Storm Point. I almost lost that one. In terms of like the maps themselves, they're all very different. Like in terms of like just the overall look, the feel, like the play style of them. You know, each one kind of has its own little characteristics about it that make it different than the other one, but not super crazy where you can almost say that one map is better than the other. Like they all still kind of feel the same. The only problem I would say with the maps is that sometimes which they're realizing and they're trying to avoid with the newer maps that are coming out, is that they realize that if they have a very big POI with a lot of loot, that it's going to attract a lot of hot drops. So if people don't know, is basically half the lobby all drops in one area and hope that they find a gun and are able to survive, and maybe they can get a bunch of kills out of it. But you know, the downside of it is if you aren't into doing that and dropping and hoping to find loot and all that crap, you know, by the time you're done looting and you're ready to fight people, you look and you see that, you know, the game started with 20 squads and now it's down to 8. And you're like, what the fuck? I
haven't even found a gun yet.
The game is literally 2 minutes. We literally have been in this match for 4 minutes. The first zone hasn't even fully closed yet, and there's only 8 squads left. And so I think in Kings Canyon and World's Edge, they still kind of do have problems with
like on World's Edge, there's one city right in the middle of the map, and it's just too big, and it has too much loot. Where that's where like you're playing like a random pub game or even some ranked games, and all of a sudden like there'll be like 30, 40 teams in the ship, and then you go over this city, and then by the time it
What's
passes
the ship? That's where everybody jumps from in the beginning.
yeah, it's basically like it's
It's all
basically
the same shit, right?
yeah, it's basically the same as the plane in Call of
Everything
Duty,
else.
the bus in Fortnite. The only difference is how you drop in. But I think with the newer maps, you can kind of tell that they're trying to avoid that by not having such big POIs and so much loot in one area that 10 teams can land there and they could still all find loot to be able to fight, instead of being like there's not enough, like there's no point. In terms of just movement, I mean, for characters, there's a fucking plethora. You name it, depending on what kind of movement you want, like there's that kind of movement in the game. Like there's a character that
So like you could be super fast, but you don't have as powerful of a gun, or you could be super slow and have a super powerful gun. Like what?
No. So it's basically just depends on your character.
It has to do with abilities.
Yeah. So basically, just depends on your character. So the best example I can really give is there's a character called Octane. He is basically primarily a movement based character. So his normal ability is it's called a stim. Basically just like injects himself with like liquid cocaine.
Adrenaline. Yeah.
Yeah, like adrenaline. And while you have that active, he has a faster movement speed. So like he'll just, you'll be running next to him, and then all of a sudden he stabs himself and he just goes goes flying. But it's only for like a certain amount of time. So that's where it comes into like the characters and their different abilities that can.
What about base movement? Because in my
base movement, I mean,
I'm gonna have to take away all the character abilities because it's not fair. It's not one versus one. Yeah.
No. So, but I mean, for base movement, I think it's as the years go on, people have found different movement tech. I guess you could say that's within the game. So kind of like how, I don't know what like with slide canceling in Call of Duty, or like all your.
It's not a thing anymore.
No, but I'm just. But all that stuff, like where you guys find, like in Warzone, where you guys find your little movement things to be able to go quicker. There's maybe not things to make you go. There is some movement tech that can make you go quicker, but it's very, very difficult to do. Like it's kind of like the only people who are really doing it are like the upper level players, or people who just dedicate their time to doing all this crazy movement, because like without actually seeing it and knowing what it is, it's very hard to understand. But there's a lot of different movement things that any character can do. It just depends on the player's skill level.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do. Right?
No, like you can do, you could slide down hills, you can do a normal slide, you could run, you could crouch like any other game, but you want to wall bounce, you want to super glide, you want to tap strafe, you want to put all of those together into one, like, and look like a little crackhead. Like you can, but it is incredibly difficult because you have to hit all these inputs and like really fast timing. But I think as the base movement, I think it definitely has a lot to it. It just depends on the player.
Okay, I agreed. And I think that's a good way to explain it. But let's wrap it up with this, and then we'll come up with a winner. What game does the best updating for their player base? And that could be because
that's a good fucking point, dude.
And I think it's a good point because I don't think either company does an incredible job, right? But with coming out with new maps, with coming out with updates, with coming out with new guns, and with doing all of that, do you think the game that you're defending does a good job, or do you think they can do better? Matt, you go first.
I'm gonna honestly, I think I just have to sit in the middle, they do okay. Like they don't do a terrible job, but they also don't do a great job. It's
So I guess my question is, to dumb it down even a little farther, is does your game take step forwards, or do they take 2 step forwards, 1 step back?
I'm gonna go 2 steps forward, 1 step back in some aspects.
So net positive.
In a way, yeah. In a way they do, but sometimes that step back can overshadow the 2 steps forward. Even though there is still a net positive, that 1 step back could just be such a drastic step back or just a weird change that like the community as a whole just doesn't really agree with. So like even though they may have added new things, the other things that they did just kind of don't really make sense. But I mean, in terms of like updates, it's really far and few between. Like there's really only major updates every season, like at the beginning of the season. But other than that, like there's no like random updates throughout the season or random changes. There's really the only big drops are for the new seasons, or the thing that they've been loving to do is these collection events, but those are just more for skins.
Is that like
and
real money?
yeah, that's just more for if you want to get an heirloom and you want to spend $150 on skins and emotes and all that other stuff. But in terms of like, I'm gonna like going back to it, base level, like sometimes their patch notes can just be garbage, and it sucks. Like you'll be waiting a whole season for patch notes.
You fix one thing and then the new emerging problem is worse.
Well, so like for prime example, we're in season 16 now. Season 15, season 14 and 15, there was really no major update. Like on the characters, on the guns, there was nothing. It was
just did patches.
They only just added some things and changed a couple things.
Came out with a new battle pass.
And fixed, yeah, and came out the new battle pass. There was no, like, normally every season there's either a new gun that's introduced, a new character. They have like the patch notes on everything that's going to get changed for characters, for guns, what's going to get nothing. There was literally nothing. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, there's no changes on the characters at all. There's no.
So that was a money grab.
So yeah, so basically that whole season was just washed. But then the new season that came out, they changed a bunch of things, and so it was kind of like you said, it was 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So like the 1 step back was that we had no update for a whole season, so all the shit all the annoying stuff and all the OP characters just got stuck. And then, but now with the new season coming out and all this new changes, it's in a good way, but. Like I said, sometimes they can just be very far and few between, and then even when they do come out, they're very lackluster, and it's just kind of like they're just putting it out there because they know they have to, but they're really not putting in the effort of actually looking at everything as a whole and being like, okay, what could really possibly be changed and what needs like a nerf, what needs a buff. It's kind of just like, yeah, we'll dice roll it. Okay, we'll take this character and we'll nerf them a little bit. And then we'll take this gun and we'll buff it a little bit. It's like just random.
Once again, a really good way to really
in-depth way to shoot yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Patty.
Look, man, I told you that's why I was sitting on the fence.
I would say I'm sitting on the fence too with Call of Duty, but I'm like 80% leaning towards the updates are great. So when Warzone 2 first came out, the RPK, which is an LMG, was the gun. Everyone and their sister it's got a huge clip, no recoil, it's accurate as fuck, it's got long range, takes like 8 bullets to down someone in Warzone. It was the bee's knees. But what I like about Warzone and their updates is they nerfed the RPK 3 separate times, and it's still good. It's still a viable option. It's
Is
just
it good,
not
but
the
is it
meta.
not? Okay, so it's not overpowered.
It's not the
anymore.
meta anymore. It's not even the LMG meta anymore. But what I like about their updates is, so the RPK is no longer meta. It's no longer you're guaranteed to get a kill if a guy has a ground loot weapon. It's no longer that. Someone who's really good, has really good aim, can kill you with a ground loot weapon if you have an RPK. But what I like about what they do is they just give general notes about their patches and updates, and it's up to the player to figure it out. So you'll see, like, the M4 got a silent buff, quote unquote silent buff. And what that means is the M4 was made better, and you need to figure out what was made better and how to work your gun out. That's the positive of the attachment system. If you let's start at the base, just base level, you have all the attachments. What you can do is you can create a class for a new gun that you think is really powerful. You can create a class and change the attachments around and kind of rework your gun in order to figure out what works best, what's the most damaging, what has the best recoil control versus aim down sight speed and stuff like that. And I just feel like they nail it
more?
every time. They make it. The updates are focused on getting new players and also having players who left the game to go play something else come back. Okay. So they kind of reset the playing field every time there's a patch or an update.
I think that's a good way to put it. And I think that's
there are, but don't get me wrong. Because Matt shot himself in the foot, and once again, I have to do it to myself. There are updates and there are patches where something gets broken.
Yeah,
where you just lag out of the game.
Gonna happen. That's going to happen every update for every.
Not
game.
With Apex. Do you lag out of the game in Apex?
No, not that.
Unless you're, I'm not talking about your internet is fucked up.
No. I think the only.
So to be fair, because I feel like I'm slaughtering Matt in this debate.
We'll find out very soon. So listen, I think that everybody made valid points.
There are updates where Warzone 15% of the time you get lagged out of your game.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to mention it.
Let's look at it holistically, all right? I didn't take any notes and I didn't write anything down, so this is all going to be based off everything. But I'm going to look at it in a way that we're kind of go over every argument that we went over, right? I think for new players, I think both of the ways that you both described it, I don't think that either game is good for new players. I think if you're brand new, I just think they're hard.
Play either game.
No, not that don't play either game, but like
I thought my argument for Warzone won out, but
it's still difficult.
I'm biased.
It's still difficult. I think guns goes to Warzone. Guns. I think the amount of guns that they have, and I think that the kind of, unless like Matt said, unless there's an update where a new gun comes out, you're stuck with the guns that are on the floor, right? There's no loadout drops. There's no anything like that. You can't. It just is. It is what it is. I think the loot system in Apex wins. I like how you can do the attachments. I think that their system just works better. I agree with Pat where you can't do it in Apex because there's just too many attachments. But I do think that's a negative. I think being able to build your gun every single game to the specifications that you want.
That you want. Yeah, your play style.
Well, that, and it's also, just real quick, it's also that, and it's also just a way of building like your gun to the best of its own abilities.
But
not
for
even just
you. But for you.
For you, but even like it's like, okay, you have
and in game.
Yeah, you have like a blue, like you have like a no stock.
You have
and
to
then you get a
build your
blue
gun
one.
in game, is what
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. So like in game, but like you have like no stock, and then you get a blue stock. It's like helps with the recoil like a tiny bit. It's not like completely game changing, but
Yeah, in Warzone you couldn't do that because you would need to know if stock number 1 versus stock number 50 is better, and it would just be too much.
Stock number 50?
However many stocks they have, I mean, just in attachments. They have a ton of attachments.
he's just saying in general.
In general. Okay.
Sure.
I think
I see where this is leaning.
No. I think that the shield system in Apex is better. I like how you can level up your shield. I like that it gives you a significant advantage if you level up your shield, right? What do we do after shield? This is why we need to write things down. As I said, this is new. I think Warzone gets movement. I like the way that Pat described the movement in the game. I think that being able to, it's for those of us that are strategic in the way that we play. I think Apex can be, you can slide down a hill really fast, like Matt said, and you get out of the way versus being strategic. I think Warzone wins the maps. I think Warzone
Just as much variety, just as many maps, different maps, but the structure overall.
I think Warzone wins the updates. What else did we talk about?
Player movement. No, you talked about that.
We talked about that.
Is that it?
I think that was it. Updates. No,
Yeah,
you talked about that.
Yeah.
Warzone
I think
wins.
I mean, are we surprised? I'm a philosophy major. I'm gonna be able to argue any point.
I came in with like an unbiased Apex is going to win.
Yeah, that's what proved it.
I think both games are good. I actually had a lot of fun doing this time. I think that it worked out really well.
Yeah, dude, these debates are fun.
I think that there's a lot that we could do. I think there's a lot that we can improve on.
100%.
Pat, unfortunately for all of us, Pat is fucking 1-0, and that's the last thing that we wanted as a group.
After our next episode that is still yet to be released, I'm going to be 2-0.
So I think, but I think we're going to do more of it. But we're wrapping up. We're about an hour and a half, so let's end it with some Patty plugs. And
all right, this is my time. So we'll take fan suggestions. We don't have many fans yet, but if anyone wants to write us in a debate topic or chime in and you want to be a part of it, let us know, man. We're open. We're 3 chill dudes. Let us know. We would love some fan interaction.
And it doesn't just have to be game versus game. It could be character versus character.
It could be. Yeah. We're very open with this topic as long as it's a fair fight. And other than that, follow us on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at DFreaks and Geeks. 3 replacing the E in DFreak. And also, we are continuing our interview series. We had a few weeks off. We had some life circumstances, but we're staying at it. We're not giving up. Gonna
this
keep
is just
pumping
a fun
out
little side
that
project we're trying.
Yeah, that we're pumping out that golden content. So if you're a streamer, content creator, reach out to us. What's our email? dfreaksandgeeks@gmail.com.
Yeah. 3 replacing the as well.
.com. Reach out to us on Twitter. That's probably the easiest way to reach out to us. Whatever you do, we'd love to learn about you, love to talk to you, get to know you, and ingratiate you into our little gaming community that we're trying to start.
And apparently go play Warzone because it's better than Apex.
Obviously.
All right, guys. Till next week. See ya.
Peace.
Later.